We got a little story about Seattle EV drivers panic for charging stations after bomb Cyclone store. What was I talking about there? Seattle EV drivers panic for charging stations after bomb Cyclone. Get an electric car, they said. Everybody in Seattle has electric cars. Everybody's got the electric Cybertruck. Now, how'd that work out in the most recent Cyclone bomb storm? Not well. Let's get into it. Here we go. Watch a little. This is Instagram. This is my Instagram account, Sean Reynolds 68. If you want to do that, I post like personal and ridiculous content there. Yeah, let's watch this video right here. Wow. Brutal. My house is just literally right over there. Not good. This is what I came on last night. Yeah, it's my fence with my neighbor. Looking good. Check this out. No damage. Built Ford tough. It is. Car. Brutal. These are all my neighbors. Oh, wow. I didn't even see that one. Holy cow.
Still?
Not good. Walked last
I
night.
had that cars behind me.
This is my path last night. Yeah, that's why I walked around. I walked around that tree.
All these fences are just.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I heard you take a picture.
These are huge, huge trees. This is right up the road from me. Like a couple of houses. Brutal. My house is just literally right over there. Not good. This is what I came on last night. So we go from this, the crime scene at my house. That's looking good. Oh, fence over there. Looking good. Till we go out the cul-de-sac. Yeah. Some good stuff here. What do we have? Is this a utility quadrant off? No. It's a police line. Literally. Police, do not cross. Do not cross. Well, I'm media, so, this is what we do here. We just go like this. Just go under. Look at that. My neighbors, they're just hosed. This is a transformer that blew. Look at all this up here. This is insane. Whew. Crazy. Car just completely down. Couldn't see, but right off to the right here, one of my neighbors, their garage is just took a tree right to the middle. It's terrible. Oh, generator. Yeah, that garage right there. This house up here. Wild. And that's the transformer. There's no power. Brutal. So we lost power on a Tuesday and we were out until a Sunday. And here's the dump. So Saturday, right before I left for Oklahoma, this is what I was doing. This stack over here. We're just putting yard waste in with garbage today. It's a special day. It just all goes in one enormous pile. Massive. So, emptying the truck. There you go. That's how it's done right there, right? So, we lost power for a bunch of days and people were wigging out. And it really, really made me think about this whole electric car thing. Get an electric car, they said. A bombogenesis, commonly known as a bomb cyclone storm, that pounded Pacific Northwest earlier this week with destructive winds and torrential rain. At higher altitudes, heavy snow and strong winds unleashed blizzards. This once-in-a-decade storm caused widespread power outages across the Seattle metropolitan area, leaving electric vehicle owners in a panic. What's going on? At the peak of the widespread outages, more than 600,000 people across Western Washington lost power due to the powerful storm. Most outages were in King County and Snohomish County. Yeah, where all the population is, right? So again, I was up without power from a Tuesday until a Saturday night at like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. This is what we woke up to on Wednesday morning. Everybody knew, our power was out, but I mean, there was virtually nothing that wasn't impacted. My office came back up on power, shortly after the storm rolled through. So the office was okay. So we brought all of our stuff here to charge and it was fine. But, my house got down to like 53 degrees. Buy everything electric. This is going to be the best thing ever. And then you're thinking, all right, I need a generator. I need a this. I need a that to really be. And then if I had an electric car, hosed. Got my gas truck that you saw the tree fall on. Yep, always got that. But, when it's got a tree on it, one of my neighbors came over and said, "Hey, Sean, do you need help getting that tree out of the back of your truck? Because the tree literally fell into the bed of my truck. I cut it up, in a bunch of pieces as you do to take it to the dump, which you saw. And, he wanted to offer to help get it out. I'm like, no, I'm just going to take it to the dump. I'm not sure if he had ever been to the dump before. You know what I mean? You just not sure with neighbors. You don't have a big relationship with them. So GeekWire reports that in the last several days, EV drivers who lost power at their homes flooded public EV charging networks across the metro area. We've seen some chargers that are almost never used that are being fully used because people in Seattle, the people that have cars have homes and they just charge them at home. But guess what? Not everybody has a home. Some people live in apartments, some people live in condos, and some people don't have access to charging stations. And that's when it becomes an issue. So this whole virtue signaling thing of, hey, let's get an electric car. This is going to be the best thing ever. It breaks down when there's just a handful of people getting on their cars. Now, the first few days after this storm, people weren't really going anywhere because you had trees like down everywhere. I shot a video a couple of days ago. This is well after Thanksgiving. One of my neighbor's trees, they've got it off of their home at least. But I mean, it must be the root ball, tree is down. So the root ball is vertical and it must be 8 feet tall. I mean, it's enormous. And I'm like, good Lord, glad that didn't fall on somebody. But a woman did lose her life just probably a couple of miles from where I'm sitting right now. She was taking a shower on Tuesday night. Tree came down, just killed her. They couldn't get to her in time to save her. The fire and rescue couldn't. I mean, tree just, imagine in the shower. Awful. We've seen some chargers that are almost never used that are being fully used. Well, that's not shocking. Here's a graphic. I live kind of over here. There's no charging stations. So I'd just be out of luck. Just be like, yeah, all right, no power. Guess I'm not going anywhere. Guess I'll just hitch a ride. See if somebody has an Uber that can come get me. Maybe I'll walk. Byproduct of the storm power outages, Nick Abrams said dozens of Teslas were lined up trying to get a charge in the Northgate parking lot tonight. I mean, this is just not shocking, right? Let's take a little quick see.
That's crazy. Okay. Oh my God, look at this line.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
It's people in Seattle. It's you hate to say it, but there's all these virtue signaling people that are just like, oh, yeah, didn't think about that one. Here is the bottom line, right? The lesson for EV drivers in apocalyptic situation is very clear, or even not in an apocalyptic situation, because, we had a storm. It was a storm. It was a bomb cyclone storm that didn't even really have that crazy of winds. But what did happen is that the winds came over the Cascade Mountains. They normally come from the south and go north. So all the trees are used to having that buffering. If you've ever done any gardening and you take your little, tiny little plants and you put them out there for a little while and then you bring them back inside because you're getting them used to the weather and getting used to the wind and all that. None of our trees here are used to having a bomb cyclone storm come over the Cascade Mountains from east to west, and they just hit all these trees and boop, boop, boop. And that's what you were seeing in all my video, was just massive trees that didn't have a root system that could take, winds from that direction as bottom line. So this was not an apocalyptic situation, but the lesson for EV drivers in an apocalyptic situation is very clear. Have a full house natural gas or diesel powered generator system. Let's work through that one for just a scooch of a second, right? Have a full house natural gas or diesel powered generator system. I do not contend if you want to be bomb proof, absolutely. You go down that route. I've got a generator on my boat. I've got a big diesel generator that can run, good portion of it. Cause you need that. Cause, if your two engines go down, then you got to have some kind of power, right? So you can watch YouTube and see how your channel's doing, just ridiculous stuff like that. But a full house natural gas or diesel power generator system. Okay. Not everybody can afford that. Not everybody can afford that. And not everybody can afford a big enough one where you're going to be able to run a portable, to run a power grid, to run a power system, right? This is just absurd. How about we just stick with the gas cars for a while? What about that? Or a lightweight 8 kilowatt portable generator with 220 volt capability. Okay. All right. Okay. But, power's eventually going to come on. It's just that, you got to run your household first and then you power up the car, right? So this whole notion, like Biden said in the last State of the Union address, has he done a State of the Union address since then? I'm not sure he has. What has Biden done? Who knows, right? We don't really know what President Biden is up to other than, doing some pardoning. And then he was in where? Africa? I think he was in Africa. He's being led around by one of the African leaders there because he couldn't work his way how to, get on stage and embarrassing stuff. And then he fell asleep during a African dignitary meeting. Yeah, in Africa. Guy's old. He needs his naps. But he's still the leader of the free world. But anyway, in one of his last, I think it was maybe the second to last State of the Union speeches, and I've talked about this a number of times, he said, I think we're going to be dependent upon fossil fuels for at least another decade. We are way beyond that. When a storm hits like this, it really brings into perspective how dependent we are on electricity. And a good example of that is I went to the Bellevue Club, which is, it's a privileged club. Let's be honest. It's an expensive club, but I use it for work and I work out there, 5 or 6 times a week when I'm going hard, which is now because time to get back in the gym. It's go time. I took a bunch of time off from, when my son died and, didn't take time off, but wasn't as consistent as I needed to be, gained a bunch of weight. And, now we got to get back at it. So I'm in the gym, but who's in the gym also? At the gym or at the club, it's got a big hotel and a bunch of stuff like that and libraries and lobbies, was every single kid under 25 in King County that had a membership, and they were all lined up at every single power outlet. They had their laptop computer, they had their iPad, they had their iPad mini, they had their phone, just this bevy of chargers. It looked like a refugee camp, a wealthy refugee camp had exploded. Just absolutely exploded. I walked in, I'm like, what? I knew there was going to be a bunch of people because it's got, power. It's got hot water. Well, kind of. They turned off the hot water to the gym because they didn't want to, spend all that kind of water. Don't get me started on that. But you got all these kids who can't live without these appliances. Like, they don't know what to do. So their parents literally just drop them off at the club, or Starbucks or wherever. But so many of these kids just made a beeline right for the Bellevue Club so that they could power up all their appliances and, not have this FOMO of, what's going on. Oh, what did I miss on TikTok in the last 2 hours? What did I miss on Twitter? Not Twitter, it's X, and they don't do X. What did I miss on the Instagram? Do it for the gram. What did I miss on Instagram? How am I going to communicate with my friends? How am I going to communicate with anybody if I don't have my phone right here? There was a real example of that when you lose power for a few days and people's devices go down, their heads pop off like they don't know what to do. Those of us that are a little bit older, you just work it out. You get your stuff powered up. And, if you see a big storm coming, you power up your little portable, battery backup stuff. And I ran on that for like 2 or 3 days. And then by the time we got through that, I'm coming to the office and charging stuff up because we had power here the whole time. Say you didn't have that. Yeah, you have a bunch of batteries and maybe you've got a generator. But again, that's not everybody's going to be able to just run out and get that generator and, go on down the line. And we're talking about powering up cars. Yeah, that's not going to be a thing. And you've got an apartment complex, you got a condo complex with hundreds of units. Everybody's got an electric car. Yeah, we're nowhere close to that. We're not even remotely close. One of the car charging stations that I see all the time is over by my boat. My son Kieran has a Tesla Roadster the first year, and he loves driving that thing around. It is small and it is low to the ground and it's a rocket, but he's got to charge it. And he used to have a charging station at home, but doesn't anymore. I'm not really sure on that one, but this charging area that I see, I drive by all the time and there is always somebody just charging their car there and it's on a public street. And I'm like, I am not sure if I would be leaving my vehicle here for a number of hours, just on a street in Seattle where your car can get stolen or whatever. It's not sure that I'd be doing that. So folks that don't have access to this kind of, charging capability, or the whole budgetary thing of the expense of an electric vehicle on top of the expense of a charging station at home, on top of the expense of a natural gas or diesel power generator system, or a portable generator with 220 volt capability. All the virtue signal, yeah, zero carbon emissions. Look at me go. Yeah. Just not even remotely close. And anybody who says otherwise is just absolutely dreaming. Dreaming. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Catch up with you on the next. Bye for now.